Anyway, we'll start anyway, and we'll talk about the project. You know, talking with my man Jin right here.
Yeah.
Love working with this guy. Has had so much fun with Eddie Magic working on his projects.
Likewise.
Yes, absolutely. So the first question is, how would you describe your sound? I know you've transitioned from rap into doing comedy.
Yeah, that's my thing.
Moving up the
ranks. We can focus on the music though.
We can focus on the music because that's what we engaged with.
Describe my sound.
Yeah, the sound. Like, how would you describe it?
And this is not just because Jin is answering it, and by no means am I comparing myself to this iconic figure. But I thought of him. I thought of him as soon as you asked me this question. The legendary Bruce Lee, who we don't associate with music and hip hop. But let me break down why I think of him. He is a legend. I'm not. He is. I'm not.
Well, I mean,
but let me put it like this. The reason I think of him and refer to him is one of his signature philosophies and teachings was the idea of being water. Right, I mean it's like a famous. It's been on T-shirts and like that. But his whole mindset was be water, right? Meaning, a water you put it into. And now I'm straight up just quoting him.
Yes.
You put water into a pot, it becomes the pot. You put water into a cup, it becomes the cup.
Yes.
You know, water can break rock. Water can flood. It can do all these things, right? So just that fluidity of water. So I reference that as in the question of Jin. How do you describe your sound? At this point, after I started messing around with rhyming and hip hop when I was 13. You know, and now here I am. This is just a blessing to be able to share. I mean, I'm over a decade in this line of work or the game or whatever phrase you wanted to describe it. And all I can say is, in the last 10 plus years, as far as describing my sound, I can only say it's been like that. It's been that water.
Yeah.
It's been that water.
No, let's talk about what projects did you record here.
Okay.
With us.
So the first project was a mixtape project, the Crazy Love, Ridiculous Faith,
Absolutely.
which was
Shout out to Francis Chan.
shout out, totally inspired by part of it. The Crazy Love part is a book that I read by Pastor Francis called Crazy Love.
Absolutely.
In short, just like having that type of love that completely turns your world upside down, right? Where in a good way, right? And then the Ridiculous Faith part, I remember, was also from a book as well. But it was this one sentence that I read about having a type of faith that maybe to the world is ridiculous.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So I combined those two, and that's how that project was birthed. So Crazy Love, Ridiculous Faith, and then I remember the next project that I was able to work with you guys on was Hypocrite. Following that, which sonically was very different, and then even the birth of the project itself was very different because I think Hypocrite was coming from a place similar to I was describing about Crazy Love, is that I was in a very specific place of my journey, also in terms of my faith journey, about just questions. Not so much questioning my faith, not so much questioning God at all, but more so dude, what am I doing? How, just really convicted about a variety of things. But at the core of it, the main conviction was just yo, what are you doing right now, Jin? And that's where the whole the theme of being a hypocrite comes from. And within that project, there were so many lyrical references and songs and concepts that reflected this general theme. And once again, the same way I just described Crazy Love, I knew that, in hindsight, I'm saying, I know that it wasn't coincidental at all that I worked on it with you guys. Because as I'm in there, I'm writing these verses, I'm tracking, I'm coming in and vibing with y'all. So much of the output in terms of the final song was reflective of the fellowship and sometimes when I use the word fellowship, it might not even be, I don't want people to think that, we were sitting around with our Bibles open in Deuteronomy while I'm tracking my verses. Nah, the fellowship I'm talking about could be the sessions from 3 to 9. I come in at 3, and maybe the first hour we're not even doing anything music. We're not recording. We just you know what happened today? Yo, Jim, what do you think about? And even in the earlier, I remember so much of the earlier days was just conversations where, you guys would kind of drop so much wisdom in terms of from an experiential standpoint. I'll be yo, so you mean to tell me there's Christian rappers that don't like being called Christian rappers? Right? And all of this is new to me. What is, and then in turn, those conversations really allowed me to grow, open my mind, that I poured back into just the creative process as well. So that's awesome. Hypocrite. And then probably following that, I mean, of the three staples would probably be when I did the third one would be the You Might Not Know Me, which is completely different. Very different. Both in sonic,
there we go, the
water sonically,
analogy.
The water analogy is right there. Yeah. Both sonically, content, you know, and with You Might Not Know Me, that was a very specific time and inspired from a very specific thing too, where I was just like, yo, I remember we were in here, sitting here, and I put this one thing on the wall on a page. I wrote it and I taped it to the wall, and it was there for the entire creative process of that whole project. And I remember the key word on it was fun. And that was what I want. And we had mad fun making that project. And I remember working. Shout out to Moishi, he came through, and everyone that was involved in that. I mean, the writing sessions, the recording, and just being in here. Just fun, and I think that project really captured that. I know that the creative process captured it. It was just so much fun, and I think there was definitely evidence of that in the music. Absolutely. Like when you listen to the song, you're like, yo, he sound like he having fun there.
Yeah. What about working with us allowed you in that season in your career to feel like you can channel your ideas in this place and get it to the goals you
absolutely.
Want it to be? Yeah.
Well, from the first project, from Crazy Love onward, I think the one thing that JahRock'n as a collective, right? So I'm not even going to break it down to specifically Eddie, specifically you, specifically whoever was part of the process at that time. But I think as a collective, one thing that I personally felt you guys did really well, and probably the best I've ever experienced it, was you guys give feedback in a very great way. Give feedback and guidance. And it challenged me in the way where, like, you know, sometimes as a creative, you have a vision for something, for how it sounds, or a rhyme. In this case, we're talking about, you know, as an MC. And you're like, you can easily be very attached to it. And you can easily be very stubborn. Absolutely. And people can fault you for it, or they can just be like, that's the artist's way, right? These are his words, so of course he's going to want it to be like that. But for me, from that first project to the second, to the onward, to this, to where we are now, I think one thing I really experienced a lot of working with JahRock'n was that ability to say, okay, this is my vision, but I trust y'all enough to help me take it to a higher height, right? So what that means in a more practical and tangible way is, if we were to get very nitty gritty about it, you know, I'll be in the booth, like, and this happened more times than I can remember, but I'll be in the booth tracking, and it may be something as simple as like a phrase changing. It may be as simple as the way I'm saying it, you know? So now we're getting very technical in terms of like, just like, yo, man, the simple change that you as the person within the composition, you might not be able to see it because you're within it. But the person outside, be it you, be it Eddie, like I said, the collective, they might be like, nah, yo, we're telling you, if you even will give it a try, you might see yourself. It'll flip the whole dynamic of it in a good way. So there was so many times where, and this was just like, yo, by grace, like, there was just, for me, there was that feeling of trust that y'all was steering me in the right way. So if y'all here and y'all like, yo, Jen, you see the way you just did it now? If you could do it again between now, like this one and the one before, that'll be it. Because the one before wasn't, but this one, you're a little over with it. You get what I'm saying? So something like that. So as I'm in there, I'll be like, all right, let me, you know, like, because there, like I said, there was just this, almost like a divine feeling of like, I can't see for any reason why they would want me to make it sound crappy, right? So, and along with that, I think another thing is, it speaks for you guys' experience as well, meaning the experience that you guys bring to the table. Because there is a way that, for what you guys do in terms of the production side, unfortunately, some people may want to do it, but they don't have the experience to know how to present it to the artist too. So that's one thing I think, just to your credit as a collective, you guys are great about that. You know what I mean? Like, because nobody wants to be in there and feel like, yo, wait a minute. You know, and you know, and this is not to take away from the relationship aspect, but you know, at the end of the day, we're adults, we're grown-ups, and we know that there are business elements to this as well. So nobody wants to pay to go to the studio, and not only do you feel like, yo, they're just in there pressing buttons, but yo, why he trying to sun me? Like, why he trying to school me? Like, I don't know how to spit. And that's all in presentation. You know what I'm saying? So that's why, like, I really give you guys credit. Even when I watch you guys work outside of the capacity with me, when I watch you work with other talents and other individuals, I observe the same thing, where y'all are just like, y'all really respect the artistry. So y'all never look at, you know, even if by term, this is our client that we have coming in for a session, I know that you might not look at them as just a client, you know?
No. I got to commend you, man. You inspire me in a lot of ways, and I really appreciate you coming out here, and I'm looking to see you take off in this as well, too.
Thank you, man.
You did the same in rap.
Thanks,
man.
And I'm
going to do it in comedy. I'm going to support you in that, man.
Thank you.
And as the company, JahRock'n, we're going to stand behind you and support you in that as well. MC Jen, Chris Belmont, JahRock'n.
Later.
Peace.